Good morning, everybody. It's Michael again from the Trading Institutional Order Flow thread on Forex Factory, where I'm known as AKT. I hope you're all having a good day. We're going to look at some markets now. It's been um, interesting and a lot of fun seeing all the posts and the helpful comments that you've all been sharing with each other on the thread. So thank you to all of you. If this is your first time finding this channel, thank you for watching the video. Thank you for coming and for sharing it, for subscribing to the channel as well. If you like the content, please give it a thumbs up so that other people can find it as well, and it will give me the encouragement um, to continue to do more of these. And if you have a question, just email me, ask me a question, and I will look to get back to you within a day or two. Okay, so let's get into the charts. Oh, by the way, please subscribe if you haven't already to the channel. Let's get into the markets. Okay, so we're, as usual, going to start with the dollar, which is the most heavily traded currency by far in the world. So I'm going to do a weekly review now as we are beginning a new week coming up, and the dollar has had an inside week in the last week where it's only managed to trade up less than 1%. But so far, nothing has changed really, other than us going into a sideways market. We have had um, demand, we have had demand removed. There was demand here that we've talked about in previous videos. We're now back down into a previous demand level that is um, yet to be taken out. So that's why it's the second or almost, is it third now? It's actually third. It's the third time back into that level, and we've still seen some reaction. What has happened though is that we are beginning to see sellers coming into the dollar for the first time in a little while, and by that I mean into this top area here. So the dollar is in between these two levels. There will be people who will be looking to sell up into this shaded area as well because it was a previous level of demand that's now been traded right through. So it's going to be an interesting next few weeks and months for the dollar as it's caught in between these two levels. You guys know that it was this level here that we were looking at, that we have been looking at for several weeks, where the market has been bumping its head up against and not come down. So what's the implication of this for pairs that are traded against the dollar? So right now with the dollar rising up, let's go take a look into the daily chart and see what that move has looked like. So what we have on the daily, as we look closer in, is that we have sellers above us. So these are the areas that we will be looking to time our interaction with those other markets. When the dollar comes into these supply levels, we will be looking for opportunities in those markets to go long. If when the dollar hits into supply, we'll be looking at those markets to see if they give us any opportunities. And then you can use other analyses to decide which one of those other currencies you take, because I wouldn't advise that you take all of them. We've got the Aussie against the dollar, the pound, the euro, as we know, the closest correlation, the Canadian dollar, all sorts of them, Singapore, Japanese. But which one you pick, I think should be informed by some sort of other analysis, supply and demand analysis, relative strength analysis, to help you pick the one that will give you the best bang for your buck. So that's a look at the dollar. We're looking at it making, big down move, and it's slowly rising back up, and we'll see if we can get it into that supply and ultimately into the higher ones as well, if it is going to make it there, because we could have it just come up here and continue down. We could have it just do that and continue the next leg down. Definitely weakness has appeared. Whether it will be a long-term weakness, time will tell. We may be looking at a US dollar top here, um, but only time will tell that. We don't know. Okay, so just going into the euro, which is the one that's most commonly traded against the US dollar, we can see that we did work our way through this supply zone that we've talked about, this drop base drop supply. and it did take us to new lows. It did take us to new lows, but right now prices have traded through it. So again, just like the opposite, it's opposite the dollar, we now have demand zone down in there. Again, you guys know we've been working off of that level of demand for several weeks. So now we have the push up that's beginning to take out supply. So we've definitely ended the downtrend, and it's now with upside momentum. We don't have an uptrend yet. So let's go take a look at that move. So when we look on the daily to look at how that move has happened, we see that we have a demand zone in here. Actually, let's put it up there. That's the one that I would favor in this market. So I'm just going to put a box around that. So that's the area that I would be, most keen to try if I was interested in going long, to try. The other alternative is to wait for new levels of daily demand to be formed when prices hit this level, this weekly level, to see if we can then buy pullbacks to those. If those daily demand levels don't form, then there's no trade. There's no point trying to pick the bottom in it. If for my set and forget trader friends, that's the zone with the best quality below current price. Okay. All right, and that will fulfill a lot of the odds enhancers that we have, a lot of the quality improvement methodologies we use. One of them is lacking at the moment, so we'll have to wait and see um, what happens when prices get down here. Now looking at the Aussie against the dollar, so the Aussie against the dollar has just gone flat now. It has stopped dropping, but it hasn't started rising, if you get my meaning. It's been coming down, as you can see when I scrunch up the chart. We still have buyers down at this level, but it's beginning to try and hold that 67, 0.67 level. Buyers are coming in there. So in terms of supply that is above this market, we have the most recent big drop down, which is that area. These are all tested levels. The one that we were interested in was way back here, and that one worked quite well. I can't say that I've taken much of a trade. We did take one in here. We did take one, but that one's been traded through now, and that's done. So that's what we're looking at in terms of supply above, and so there's demand, as we said, right down here. So we're kind of in between with this market looking like it doesn't want to go down yet. So if we start coming up and we start making higher highs and higher lows, it's going to be a battle for the sellers to try and hold off all those buyers. If we break above this 68.94 area, then we're going to be looking at getting to this area first. Okay, this made a new low below these lows, is why we're seeing that people have been trying to sell it. And when we go to the daily, and we have, just so you know, we talked about this level in the roundtable the last couple of weeks, and prices have come up into it. And you can see the level when we wait for things to happen, things do happen. That was the short that was available up into that area as prices began to pull back. So that Aussie trade now, we're still looking at it. Maybe new levels may form if it continues to go down. I'm not looking to buy it just yet because I don't see enough to get me interested in buying at all. It just doesn't fulfill the criteria. So for those of you who are looking for medium-term income, weekly income, buying it may not be the best thing right now. But if you're a shorter term daily income type of trader, you may want to look at it when it gets down into this level on the daily, um, to see if buying opportunities show up. I'm not that keen on buying the embedded zones that may be in here on a smaller time frame. I would rather you wait for evidence that buyers are coming in before you go long on that one. The pound US, excuse me, pound US, lots of news and still more news coming out on my currency pair. So contrary to to all the people sounding the death knell for the pound. Despite all the Brexit uncertainty, the pound has made probably the most significant move in the last few weeks. Despite all of that headline news, it's now coming up against sellers, but after such a big move, that wouldn't be a surprise. Um, we do have higher highs and higher lows. We have supply zones being removed, demand zones being created, upside momentum being established. All of those good things have come into play. So for people who are selling into this move, there will be some profit margin because of the way that it's moved up. But the longer term trade, if you wanted to just follow the charts and ignore all the news, would be to start looking for long opportunities. When we look at it, there's a little zone here that's around halfway through the move. It's not located um, in the best of areas for us, but it's definitely one to keep on our radar, take shorter term income trades off of as well if prices do get back into there. And ultimately, when we look down, there is one more zone, but it's way, I'm not even going to put it in, it's way down in here, and it's on a smaller time frame, um, down, lower down in this move. So that's the level to watch. If we look, let me just look on the daily to look at what supply we have above us. That's that one that we had marked. I believe I marked it in one of the videos a few weeks ago, and that one's held nicely. Um, so we'll see how, as this goes down, if we start getting a hold in here to see if we can get long. If it goes through there, we'll try at lower levels. Okay, let's go look at the New Zealand, which has been quite weak. And I believe just hello. I think you posted a New Zealand chart that I commented on in the trading institutional order flow thread on Forex Factory. So we were working off of that supply zone. The drop that's rallied straight back wasn't ideal because we came down and we came back up immediately. But we then made new lows, which means we now have sellers still in control of that market right in here. So this is what we're battling. Now remember what we said about the dollar being where it is. If the dollar gets a bounce up for the next few days, trying to get to its supply, all these markets against the US dollar are likely to pull down for a little bit more. So it's into the supply zone there on the weekly. So any of us that are looking for sort of turnaround trades, that's the supply zone that needs to go. That's the one that needs to be traded through before we can be a bit more confident in long positions. And when we look down, we have, if that does go, if it doesn't go, then this idea is off. If it does go, I would look down in that area for a possible long. Right now, looking for shorts, you have levels forming. There's one forming right now, but it's not fully formed yet. We have that level for now. That's forming, or that's formed rather, I should say, in the New Zealand dollar. So there you go on that one. Um, let's see how that plays out. If prices do come back up, then we may look to take a short up in there. We'll see. Bitcoin. So we talked about Bitcoin uh, on this channel. Please watch the videos. You'll see we did talk about Bitcoin. We talked about this level. We marked it up. We said this was an area that we would be interested in. And for those of you who trade Bitcoin, this would be an area to be aware of. And we have come into it, and we've had a quite a dramatic reaction. It's been quite a dramatic reaction to it. You guys know, I mean, it's so this is no hindsight sort of thing. I marked it in this on this channel in front of all of you. That area there. It's the videos are there, time stamped and everything. So that's probably made already. If depending on where you put your stop, at least over a 1-to-1, maybe even a 1.5-to-1. But we'll see how much more. If it continues going, great. If it doesn't, then you made a little bit of money. That's the things about it, and we'll in more videos coming forward. I'm going to talk about some risk management ideas, because we often look at charts and we forget that, the trading strategy is but one stool in the three stools, the money management and the trading psychology, for our trading business. So this supply zone has worked out quite well, in Bitcoin so far. So let's see if it continues going. We have it removing demand. We still have downside momentum. So it's looking bearish if we just go by our supply and demand analysis. It is looking bearish. To join the trade, there aren't new levels formed yet that I can see on either one of these charts to see where that we could, sort of jump on board with that for now. But it's one to watch for sure. So the S&P 500, the biggest stock market in the world, coming up just shy of its all-time highs, as you can see there. Lots of earnings coming out, and this market is continuing to push up. It's not taking out any lows. And if you remember your old technical analysis, I hope some of you still do, because it's not all useless. As I say to you, use all the knowledge you have, in trying to attack and fight these markets. We're making higher highs, higher lows still. We have a sort of flat top, so this would be what, an ascending triangle. Um, don't quote me on that. I just remember that from my training days, and we have not broken any lows, and we're looking more to the upside now. So you can be sure any break above this level, Mr. Trump, general elections coming up in November, wanting the Fed to continue cutting rates, boost the economy. He doesn't want to go into the elections with a draining economy that, historically hasn't boded well for American presidents. They tend to lose their second term elections if the economy turns down. And Trump has, sort of stamped his name all over the progress in the US economy. So any downturn will be very negative for him. So he's not going to let that happen for sure, which is, I suppose, it's good for the US stock market. How good it is for the American economy is another debate. So we can see how it's just every time this market sells off, it finds buyers. Right now, on the daily chart, you can see where the buyers are conglomerating right there. And this is where the base is going to be, where they launch the next attack against those all-time highs. The Nasdaq, I believe, has made its own all-time highs already. Um, it's gone above its levels. The sort of weaker sister, as I call it, is the Russell 2000, which is the mid-cap stock market in the US. You can see it's stuck in this range, and it's just been, stuck in that range for so long. It's not gone anywhere at all. So the supply above is there. Supply above is there. The demand that's still holding prices is there. So that's where we're stuck into. If you wanted to look at the top of this range as well, there's a supply zone that goes right across at the top there that's holding prices down as well. So there's nothing to do in this one. Let's go to the 10-year, the US 10-year note. So this is Oanda's CFD product for it. It's the TY for those of you who are trading futures. And we're looking at demand zones down below us. This is being used now as supply because we have taken out some buyers who are in here. So people seeing that rally are now looking for this market to bounce between these two levels, maybe even turn lower. It's had a big run. It's had a big run up. If you're using traditional um, trend lines, that's what we've got. So you can be sure a lot of traders around the world will also have that trend line noted. So any break of this will trigger alarms on their desks all around the world. So it might be worth keeping an eye on that as well. So looking at how it's forming, it's moved down though. Nothing quite yet. That was a lovely trade up into that supply zone, that 4-hour supply right here. Um, but that's done now. So we're just waiting for new levels to form. It's gone fairly flat in the last couple of weeks. So let's look at the US dollar Canadian as a currency pair. So again, quite flat up into this area. We do have lower highs and lower lows, which suggests that the sellers are more in control. What hasn't happened though is that they haven't been able to get through this supply zone, this demand zone rather. They're eating further into it, which is a tell for us that there's weakness into this demand zone now, because it's like, every time they come in, they manage to go lower, and the bounces from that zone are much less and less. So you can see the first bounce went as high as there. That's the second bounce from a deeper level in, and it's only managed to get up to there. Um, so it's coming back in now. It's, if you anticipated that it's likely to make a lower low, you would not be, doing anything crazy just by the analysis we've just talked about. It would not be crazy to assume, because all we have in markets are our assumptions. And this is a level that we pointed out last week on the roundtable that we're watching, and it's moved away even further, which is better for us. So any bounces up into this level, we will be looking to participate in that market. And US dollar Japanese been very, very flat. I was looking at the Bank of International Settlements report that I posted the picture of on the thread yesterday, and this pair has been the least traded, and you can see why. Over so many years it's been, pretty flat. It's not really done anything, provided much in the way of returns. It's been quite a ranging sort of market. It's not had the big trends, but these moves have been big enough for short-term trading swings into these moves, but not just gone as quickly as people would like. So the supply that's still king is up there. The demand, there's a big level, and it's very ugly, and it's not the kind of level that we would usually take. But the markets are holding that area. You can see one, two, three moves into that area. We talked about this level a couple of weeks ago, and I was saying why I wasn't that keen on it because of where it is in this whole range. That we're looking at. I wasn't that keen on the demand, the supply zone here, because of the time spent at the level, its location, and all of that. And you can see that although there was some initial move down, which is not surprising, it's not really yet taken any hold and gone down, because people are feeling we're still in this range, we're on the lower end of the range. There's a lot more buying coming in. So if we go and look, are there any opportunities that we could use to get long? There's one here that you may want to keep an eye on. It's not the greatest of levels. It's been tested before. It's quite wicky and large. Um, but maybe going and looking into that area when prices get back into it may give you um, a better quality zone. Now, for those of you who trade the Singapore, so Singapore is one of the top 5 centers now for forex trading in the world, according to the um, reports. It's picking up over there, and their spreads are not that bad at all, actually. It's a very well developed economy. It's quite strong, and it's doing well. So I do look at it, as do some of the members on the roundtable. So that's the demand zone that we're arriving at right now, and we've got some supply above us. So this is what we've got now. We now have upside momentum. Let's see, upside momentum is still intact. Just draw that right there. So the, given the location of price, it would not be an optimal time to be looking to sell. We would more be interested in looking to buy, at least buy a bounce to try and get up to the at least that supply zone. So looking at it here, the trigger we're waiting for is to see if we can begin to take out supply, and then we will be interested in going for long opportunities. Let's look at oil, then we'll look at gold and silver, and that will be it for the video. I'm going particularly slowly so that I make sure that you all get my thought process And this could all fail. I broke my crystal ball many, many years ago. I don't have one anymore. I just follow the markets as I see it. So we have crude oil, fairly flat, not moved, similar to the Japanese yen idea. It's caught in between these highs and these lows. It's not really gone anywhere. Despite all the issues going on in the Middle East, it's just like supply is equaling demand pretty much up into these levels. That's where the supply is, and it seems the market is using that area still as the demand. So we will see how this plays out. In terms of opportunities going forward, there isn't one really right now in crude that I can see. We've had the rounded bottom here, which is very quite constructive. Um, so short term, looking on this 4-hour chart to see if there are 4-hour zones that we can buy at least up into these levels. Maybe an idea. There's still room to go to those levels, so we can see if we can get on board. So one to watch. Now, for silver. Silver has come into demand and is holding and is now beginning to try to go back up. We were waiting for this one as well. It didn't quite hit it, obviously. And in terms of the next stopping point, we've already hit into that area, so that area is no longer fresh. And silver is still showing quite a lot of room to go, at least until the 24-ish area. So there's still quite a lot of room to get on board this, if for those of you who trade metals. So we'll be looking now for pullbacks in silver to get long right into here. That will be the first attempt that we will give it and see if we can get on board there. Okay. If we get, better opportunities into the 4-hour levels, then we'll take it. But I wouldn't go below the 4-hour because this could be potentially quite a long-term trade. I'm talking a year, maybe more, if you have the constitution to hold on that long. And similar for gold. Gold, as we know, we have broken out of our big consolidation. This is quite a constructive chart. Um, for those of you who know that I look at stage analysis, we look at a lot of these bases because out of these bases will come the big moves. So we clearly had a stage 2 uptrend there. We had a stage 3 distribution, which can only really be known after the fact, after we broke down. That's when we confirmed we were entering into a stage 4 sort of downtrend. These are all stages that are known to the trading community. Wyckoff talks about them. Weinstein talks about them. I know Brian Shannon talks a lot about them as well. He's got an excellent book out, which if you have time, if you're into trading, education and learning, technical analysis using multiple time frames, I believe is what it's called. He talks a lot about it as well. So we've come now into a trading area where it was neutral. I call them neutral. So after a down move into a neutral phase, this could have been accumulation, it could have been redistribution. The resolution of that area seems to make it accumulation, given that it broke out to the upside. So we're actively looking for buying opportunities. And I'm already long gold, so full disclosure there, I'm already long gold. So we'll see how that pans out. And if it comes back even better, the area that I really, really was waiting for, which hasn't happened yet, is for us to get down into here. Um, Looks like we're trying to hold this 1480 level now, and maybe going back up, um, which is a possibility given the breakout that we've had. This may be all that we get in terms of pullback, but I'm not using the gold versus the US dollar. I got long on gold versus the euro, which is a product that Oanda offers. So that's going to be it, guys. Thank you all for being patient. I hope the video is not too long. If you have any questions, again, you know where to find me. Please just get in touch, email me, let me know how you're doing, and I will see you in the next video. Take care, everybody. Trade well. Trade safe. Bye for now.